sample of this wine. Here we go. Now. All right, folks. Swirl it around the sides of the glass. Okay. With a nice little smell. Smells delicious. Smells like a nice wine, the way wine should smell. Oh, that is lovely. That is a lovely, lovely wine. Miss Betty and I are going to enjoy this Merlot. I'm going to open this box and I'm going to share with you the ingredients in this Chateau wine kit box. So let's get the cover off of this. It's out pretty solid. Pretty tight. All right, so here we go. Let's see what's inside this wine kit box. Okay, a little bit hard to get open. Here we go. So, here's the ingredients, folks. That's in the Chateau wine kit, the Merlot style wine kit box. It comes with 2 bags, 2 large bags of grape juice. Okay, that's grape juice right there, those 2 bags. It comes with lots of corks, a full bag of corks. It comes with shrink wraps. It comes with labels. If you were going to be bottling it up and putting on the corks, then you would put on your labels. You can make your own labels and name your own wine if you want to do that. Okay, it also includes these 2 bags. These 2 bags are very, very important. It includes the bentonite and some other ingredients that you need to stabilize your wine and sweeten your wine and all that kind of good stuff. And there's also an instruction booklet in each of those packets. So we're going to open up one of those and I'm going to share all that with you. It also comes with oak chips. Now, if you want to put the oak chips in your wine, you can do that. I'm going to open one here now because sometimes you'll get them and it's in a tea bag form and sometimes it's just a little chips. So let's go have a look. I'm going to open one and show you what it looks like. Okay, so I've just opened up one of these bags of oak chips. Now what you're supposed to do is take these oak chips and you can put them in a cheesecloth and then put the cheesecloth right in on top of your wine. I wouldn't suggest that you put sprinkle the oak chips in your wine, but you can also get the tea bags. And instead of tea, of course, it's oak chips or some other flavors of wood that you can add to the top of your wine to give your wine that little bit of an extra flavor. Miss Betty and I, we do not use these oak chips. We just put them aside. Join me now, folks, downstairs in the wine room. So this is our wine room downstairs in the basement of our house here in Gander, folks. And I'll just show you where I have everything all laid out now. Here's the ingredients from the Merlot style Chateau wine kit. It's all spread out here. I have my 2 buckets here. This process doesn't actually take all that long. I have these buckets here now. I had them filled about 3/4 full of the water that you need. It's room temperature water. Okay, so 2 of these are about 3/4 full. And then by the time I get the juice from the grapes in those 2 buckets, and then I go rinse out the bags to get every last bit of grape juice, those buckets will be topped up and the brewing process will begin. I want to share something with you though. Miss Betty ordered this thing for me a while ago on Amazon, and we have yet to use it. It's supposed to be a fast fermenter for brewing wine. If any of you have used this one, please share in the comments. Now, it's supposed to be mounted on the wall, and that's all there somewhere. Like I said, we haven't used it yet. Maybe that's something I'll do very, very soon and get some practice using that machine for brewing wine. But for now, I'm going to stick with my buckets because I'm very familiar with this process. So here's all of our ingredients again, and we are now, as I said, ready to begin the process. I came across the instructions from the last time that we brewed wine. It was on the 14th of May that we started, and it ended around the 10th of June. So, like I said, a 28-day wine kit is what these are. And that was our summer wine, and that's all gone. Okay, so the first thing I had to do, folks, is open up this ingredients packet. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to share with you what's inside here. And there's various packs of ingredients for various steps along the wine brewing process. This pack here, for example, is the sweetener, and you don't need that today. Okay? This pack is the yeast. We're going to need that one today to begin the brewing process, of course. This here is the instruction booklet. We'll be using that. We'll be putting in our dates on this sheet for the various times that we have to come back and do the various steps along the brewing process. Okay, this one we're going to use now. This is the bentonite. I'm going to use that very, very soon to put in with the water. And there's some other ingredients here. Some of them is a little bit difficult to pronounce. Potassium metabisulfate. Okay, that's later on. Okay, here's crystal cell. That's used later on. And here's potassium sorbate. That's used later on as well. But the only two ingredients that we need today to get the brewing started is the bentonite and the yeast. And those we're going to use very, very soon. Okay, this one first. So what I need to do now is cut the top off of this, Mr. Garry. And I put my bentonite in my water first. Some people put the grape juice in and then put the bentonite. I put mine in now, and I stir it up really, really well because I want to make sure that the bentonite is dissolved in the water. Okay, so that's what I'm doing here now, folks. Hope you can see me. I need to give that a few stirs. Make sure it's all dissolved. I'll show you the process with one, and it will be the exact same process with the second one. So we won't need to do it twice. So you can watch me do one. Now, I think that's pretty good. The next step is to open up one of those bags of grape juice. Now, I do something probably a little bit different than most. These come with a cap, and you can see the yellow cap right there. I don't take the cap off, I just cut the corner off the bag. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I find that easier for pouring the grape juice into the bucket. I'm just going to try and lift it up and show you. I just cut the corner off the bag, just like that. Just a triangular cut off the corner. And now, I find it real easy to be able to pour the grape juice in the bucket. Here we go. Here you go. Very easy. Easy peasy when you cut the corner off, I think. Alright, now there's still a fair bit of grape juice left in this bag. I'm going to go get a couple of cups of water to add in this bag. I'm going to swish it around, and then I'm going to add it to the top of this bucket. Okay, so I just went and got, like I said, a couple of cups of water now. I'm just going to add it into I just added it into the bag here. I'm going to swish it around, and like I said, get every last bit of grape juice out of this bag. I want to get every last bit. Okay, now I'm going to add it, like I said, in on the top of this bucket. Alright, so that's good. That's a nice mixture. Now, I'm going to stir that up as well. Make sure that the bentonite and the grape juice is mixed together and blended. Okay, now I think that's done. I'm going to put my big stir stick aside. The final step today is to put in our yeast. Okay? And for the yeast, we're just going to sprinkle the yeast over the top of the wine. No stirring at this stage. Just sprinkle it over. The yeast is going to be sprinkled over the top. Like I said, no stirring. Just sprinkle the yeast over the top there, Mr. Garry. Just like that. Okay? No stirring. Make sure you cover the top. Sprinkle it all over. Okay, so there we go. That's fine. Now, let's take our cover with the bong, and we're going to put that on. Okay, ever so gently. Now, I'm not going to jam the cover on or seal it. I'm going to go around the bucket probably about 3/4 of the way. I'm going to leave the front open a little bit right here, and I also have the bong there half full of water. So, that wine is going to brew there now for a few days before I touch it. I had to come back for step 2 and step 3 and step 4 and all that good stuff over the next few weeks. The next thing I need to do though is I need to get my instructions here, and I need to write down the dates. And I'm going to do that now. Primary fermentation day 1. Today is November the 20th. Okay, so that's done. Okay, step 2 is in 10 days time. So that's going to be November the 30th. Okay, and then day 18 is the next step, the stabilizing and degassing. So we'll put down the date for that, day 18. So now we're going to be into December. We're going to be into around December the 8th. So December the 8th is our next date. We'll keep going. The cleaning is only 1 day later. So that's going to be December the 9th. And then 10 more days later, it's going to be the bottling, which is around December the 19th, December the 20th. So let's write down December the 20th as the final day. So I got all my dates there so I know when I have to do the next step. So I'll be back here in the wine room on November the 30th for the secondary fermentation. Okay, there you go. That's the process. Thanks again for liking our videos. Thanks again for sharing our videos. Thanks always for stopping by our YouTube channel. And that's GBL, the Old Church, 5 Acre Homestead. Keep subscribing, keep liking, keep sharing, and keep sending those great comments. There you go, folks. Okay, let's put all of this ingredients back in that little plastic pouch there now so it doesn't get misplaced. Let's get that in there now, Mr. Garry. There we go. All of this good stuff, this ingredients that we're going to need for our wine. The best place to put those little pouches with all the ingredients is on the cover of these wine buckets. And there's our instructions. So we're going to be following these dates over the next month. And we'll be enjoying that wine brewed here at GBL, the Old Church, 5 Acre Homestead. Hi there, folks. Garry here from GBL, the Old Church, 5 Acre Homestead. Hard to believe that 10 days has passed since we were here in the wine room at our house here in Gander, Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada. This is step 2 that we are going to do today, and according to the instructions, with these wine kits, 10 days later, we are supposed to be back here doing step 2, and that's what we're going to do. Folks, I'm inviting you to join me now as we prepare and follow the steps to do step 2 in brewing this homemade red wine. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that wonderful? So follow me now with these steps, and hopefully you can make your own red wine after this. What? Because I do think that the process that Miss Betty and I follow to make our wine, our summer wine, whatever wine it is a very easy to follow process. And any beginner or any seasoned winemaker can follow these steps and make their own wine. Isn't that wonderful? That's going to be great. So let's get at it, folks. Join me here now. There's not a lot of light here in the wine room, folks, and I will apologize for that. It is our wine room nonetheless, and if you look at these instructions for brewing this homemade wine, we started this process on the 20th of November, and today is the 30th, 10 days or day 10 for this secondary fermentation process for this wine. Now, here's what we're going to do step by step to complete step 2. So folks, the most important thing to do in step 2 is to rack off your wine during the secondary fermentation. And that's what we're going to do today. So very carefully, I am going to pour all of the contents from our wine brewing bucket, you see right here, the one with the bong, into this one right here, the one that has the spigot or the spout onto it. I'm going to pour, as I said, the wine from this one into this one. And you'll see me do that in this step. Follow along. So during step 2, folks, during the secondary fermentation step, I'm going to be removing the wine from this wine brewing bucket. It has been 10 days, and it is now time to rack off this wine. I gotta be very, very careful that I don't spill any. Now, I just want to come close to you now and show you that the sediments are on the bottom of this bucket. I do not need these sediments during this stage. And if you listen very carefully, you can probably hear the wine brewing in this bucket. You can hear the fizzing sound from the wine as it is brewing during this secondary fermentation. I'm going to discard the sediment at the bottom of this brewing bucket. Okay, so now all the sizzling has cleared. That's really, really good. That's what's supposed to happen during step 2. And folks, because we are brewing 2 kits, we now need to rack off the wine that's in this bucket into this other bucket. And I'm going to do that now. Again, I'm going to be very careful just to rack off the wine and be very, very careful to leave the sediments in the bottom of the bucket. Follow along. I have to be very careful with this process. I do not want to spill any of my wine. I'm watching because I don't want any of the sediments going in to the secondary bucket during the secondary fermentation process. And again, let me bring the bucket over close so you can see. There's all the sediments in the bottom of the bucket. We do not want these sediments during the secondary fermentation. Just the wine, folks. And here we go. There's the wine. We're gonna just move it back to the corner there by the wall. And we'll put the cover on. And that's the secondary process completed, the secondary fermentation. I'm gonna go clean my bucket and then we'll come back for a final chat. All right, folks, so that pretty much covers step 2, the secondary fermentation process here at GBL, the old church, 5 Acre Homestead. I'm gonna seal the cover on this one. So I'm gonna press down and make sure that it's all sealed. My bong is half full of fresh water, so that's going to continue brewing for another 8 days. When we come back on the 18th day, and that day is going to be December the 8th, folks, we will come back and we will do step 3, and step 3 is the stabilizing and degassing. We'll be racking these off once more, and then we'll be adding the ingredients in these packs. I won't talk to you about that now. I'll save that for step 3, and we'll talk about what's in those packs in detail in 8 days' time in step 3. Folks, I want to thank you again for joining us today here in part 2 of Making Christmas Wine, and I want to thank you always for liking our videos, sharing our videos, leaving those great comments, and of course, subscribing to our YouTube channel. Please continue to like. Give us the thumbs up. Those likes are very, very important. Garry here. I'm going to sign out now, and we'll see you in part 3 of Brewing and Making Wine. See you later, folks. So now we are going to be leaving those there until December the 8th for step 3. We started step 1 on November the 20th. Today is November the 30th. So we just completed the secondary fermentation, and in 8 days' time, on December the 8th, we are going to come back here to the wine room and we are going to do the stabilizing and the degassing. There you have it, folks. There you have it. Here's the instructions. Let's go through them again so that everybody is on the same page. We started this winemaking on November the 20th. So we did step 1. Step 2 we did on November the 30th. And here we are on December the 8th completing step 3. In step 3, folks, the very first step is to rack these wines off once more. This will be the last time to rack these wines off, and we're going to rack this one off in this bucket right here. We are then going to clean that bucket, and then we're going to rack this one off and put it into that bucket. So we'll have these 2 buckets right here full of fresh racked wine. The next step is to add these 4 ingredients right here in the series that I have them laid out. The very first ingredient that we will put in after racking is the potassium metasulfate. Then we will put in the crystal. Next we will put in the potassium sulfate, and then we will add our sweetener toward the end. Follow along, folks. Okay, so let's rack this one off, shall we? Now this wine is already racked off once. We're going to do it the second and final time. You're going to watch me, folks, and again, I'm going to take my time making sure I just get the wine and not the sediments. Take your time, Mr. Garry. Take your time. We just want the clear wine, not the sediments. Not the sediments. Here we go. This is the second time we've racked off this wine. Okay, as soon as I start seeing some sediments, here we go. Now, I'm going to show it to you. This is the second time. Look at that. We still have some sediments in the bottom of this bucket. I need to clean out this bucket now. And that's what I'm going to do next, because we're going to need this bucket for the second racking. So join me for that. Okay, so folks, I've cleaned my bucket. I have it all sanitized now and ready for the racking of the second bucket here. So join me for that. So let's do that bucket. Okay. Again, taking my time, making sure that I do not rack off the sediments. I do not want the sediments. I just want the clear wine. And as soon as I see the sediments, I will stop. Don't want any of that old sediment stuff in our wine, Mr. Garry. Here we go. Again, look at that. There's all the sediments from the wine during the second racking. I'm going to discard that. I'm going to clean that bucket, and then I'll be right back with you. So these 2 batches of wine that make 34 bottles of wine each have been racked off now, and we need to add our ingredients into each of these buckets. So let's do the first one. I'm going to do this one right here, the one that has the spigot or the spout on the bucket. So let's do that. I'm going to take the cover off, Mr. Garry. And the very first thing that we need to do is we need to add in the potassium metasulfate. So let's do that. So I've cut the top off of this little packet, and I'm adding in the potassium metabisulfate. Here we go. Just chuck it in there, Mr. Garry. There's not a lot in that little package. Okay, so there's only 4 grams in there. So now we need to use our long stick, our long stir stick, and stir that up and mix that in with the wine. Let's do that. This is step 3 that we're following now, according to the instructions, to brew off homemade wine, homemade red wine. Going to be delish. What do you think of that? Isn't that awesome? That we're going to have lots and lots of homemade wine. Okay, so I think that's well established and well blended and mixed in with the wine. Let's add the crystal cell. That's next. Okay, with this little packet, I've cut the corner off it, and I'm now going to add that to our wine as well. Make sure every last bit gets in there, Mr. Garry, into the wine. And again, let's take a minute and mix that in. Here we go. Mix it in and make sure that it is well blended in with the wine. Homemade wine. Makes 34 bottles roughly per batch, and we have 2 batches here, so that's going to be 64 bottles of wine. Each bottle is 750 milliliters. Okay, so I do think that that is well blended. Let's do the next ingredient. The next ingredient that we have to include in this winemaking kit is the potassium solvate. Let's do that next. I'm going to cut the corner off this little package. Here we go, just a corner so that the opening is a little bit small, and we're going to sprinkle that into the bucket now as well. Okay, here's the potassium solvate going into our wine. Sprinkle it in over the top. Okay, make sure that every last grain, every last morsel is added to the wine. Let's stir that up. Make sure it gets fully dissolved in with the wine. Now this last step, we're adding the sweetener. Some of you may decide that you do not want the sweetener added to your wine. This step is optional. Miss Betty and I, we like the sweetener, so we're going to add a little pack of sweetener to this batch of wine. Okay, so here we go. I think that is fully dissolved now as well. And let's go get the sweetener. Here's the sweetener pack. Okay, the sweetener pack is called Citizen 75 milliliters. I'm going to be adding that to our wine now. I've cut the corner off the little packet, and I'm just going to pour it into the wine. Here we go. Mr. Garry, get every last bit in there, of course, making sure that it's all in there. Okay, squeeze the little packet to get all the drops in there. Here we go. This is the pack of sweetener. It adds a little bit of sweetness to the wine, which is a good thing that we think. I'm not sure what you think. If you don't like the sweetener, well then of course you do not have to add that. Now, the only thing left, the only thing required now is to let this sit here for about another 10 days, and that will bring the wine to a close and ready for bottling. So I'm going to put my cover and my bong on this bucket, and then I'm going to get at this second bucket and do the exact same process. And toward the end, I'll show you what I've done. Here we go. So batch number 1 completed. Let's get at batch number 2. I've got all the ingredients laid out here along our countertop. I'm still following the instructions to complete this step. We're going to follow this identically to the step that we did with the first batch. That one's done. Let's do the second one. Finishing up step 3 in the homemade winemaking process here, folks. Just stirring up now the sweetener into this bucket. We've got the first one all done. That's laid over there, all ready to go. And we're doing the second one right here now. Making sure that the sweetener is stirred in and blended with the wine. And that brings step 3 pretty much to a close. Here we go. I've got my check marks added. November the 20th, completed. November the 30th, completed. December the 8th, completed. Okay, tomorrow I'll come back and have another quick look at the wine, see how things are going, probably take a little sample, a little test, and then in about 10 more days time, this wine will be ready for bottling. Here you go, folks. Step 3 is wine making here at GBL, the Old Church 5-acre homestead, completed. Thanks for liking, thanks for sharing, thanks for commenting, and of course, as always, thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel. We appreciate that oh so very much. We'll see you during step 4, folks, the bottling stage. Okay, now Mr. Garry, get the cover on that other bucket. Let's do that. Let's get that cover on there, and and make sure that that's secured on that second bucket. Okay, there you go. The bong is full of water. The first bucket is there already. In 10 more days' time, we will be back here bottling up homemade, delicious, delicious wine. There you go. There you go. We're going to try a small sample of this wine. Here we go. Now. All right, folks. Swirl it around the sides of the glass. Okay. Give it a nice little smell. Smells delicious. Smells like a nice wine, the way wine should smell. Oh, that is lovely. That is a lovely, lovely wine. Miss Betty and I are going to enjoy this Merlot brewed right here in the basement of our house here at GBL, the Old Church 5-Acre Homestead. Cheers, folks. Cheers. Ah, nice, 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 lovely. So it's wine bottling time, folks. We are at stage 4 here now. I'm over here at the sink now washing up some bottles, using some really, really hot water to sterilize and sanitize these bottles. And I'm gonna need these and a lot more to bottle up the wine. I'm gonna get you to join me downstairs now very, very soon. Wine bottling time, folks, here at GBL, the Old Church 5-Acre Homestead. See you downstairs in the wine room. Hi folks, Gary back with you now for part 4 of our winemaking series here at GBL, the Old Church 5-Acre Homestead. Hard to believe that a full month has passed. We began making this wine on November the 20th. Here's our instructions. We're going to be bottling today. We have lots of bottles here. We're going to be filling these all up and putting them in our wine rack for when we have guests and company over. We can share some of our wine. We're also going to try a little sample. Just a small drop though, folks. Not a lot. Just a little tiny bit just to see what it tastes like. I bet it's going to be extremely, extremely good and potent too. My wine, I've been making these for years. My wine is usually around 18% alcohol. A little higher than your store-bought liquor store wines, because those are usually anywhere from 7 to 12. But this wine is around 17-18%. Gives you quite a kick, I'd say. So we're going to get at that now very, very soon. So join me now. Let's lift this bucket up. It's quite heavy, so watch your back. You got to get it up here on the countertop. Here you go. Now, I'm going to use the spout here, or the spigot that's on the bottom part of this bucket, and I'm going to be filling up some bottles of wine. Okay, so let's fill this one up. Miss Katie is our photographer, our camera person right now, so she's helping me bottle up some wine. We'll bottle so many, and then we'll try a sample. We'll try a sample of the wine. Now, I usually leave a little bit of headroom in the wine bottles. Okay, so we're right about there. Okay, you can zoom in there, Miss Katie, so we can see. So the wine is right about there. So leave a bit of headroom for the wine to expand or any of that kind of stuff. Okay, so there's one. I'm going to keep doing the process. I'll do several of these. Going to be delish. Stay with me. Stay with me. Stay with GBL, the Old Church 5-Acre Homestead. Bottling wine, there's 2. We should get around 30 or so out of this bucket. That's going to take quite a process. So we'll do 4 here now together, and then we'll take a sample. Okay, one more. The good thing about this bucket, with the spigot or the spout onto it, is that the spigot or the spout is up about maybe a centimeter or 1/2 of an inch from the bottom of the bucket. So if there's any grout or any sediments in the bottom of the bucket, it won't get into the wine bottles. We're just going to be getting the clear wine out of that bucket. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Okay, here's our fourth one. And then we're going to do a sample. Then we're going to do a sample. Okay, here we go. Now, I do have a wine glass there. Now, Miss Katie, we're going to try a small sample of this wine. Here we go. Now, all right, folks. Swirl it around the sides of the glass. Okay. With a nice little smell. Smells delicious. Smells like a nice wine, the way wine should smell. Oh, that is lovely. That is a lovely, lovely wine. Miss Betty and I are going to enjoy this Merlot brewed right here in the basement of our house here at GBL, the Old Church 5 Acre Homestead. Cheers, folks. Cheers. Ah, nice, 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 lovely. Okay. Going to be putting the wines in our wine rack here now, here in our kitchen. Okay, bottle number 1. I'm going to make sure that the covers are a little bit tight as the wine goes in a little bit of an angle. Okay, so I don't want it to be dripping onto the floor, so I'll just give the tops an extra turn, and we'll fill up our wine rack. Made from a Costco brew kit, right here in our own home. Just 1 month ago we started this process, and here we go. We got lots of wine. Isn't that clever? Okay, I think we got lots there, and we still got more to bottle up, and we'll be doing that over the next day or so, Miss Betty and I. We got lots more bottles out in the loft of the garage, so I'll have to climb up there tomorrow and get more bottles, and then we'll have to rinse them out with some scalding water. Do a really good job cleaning your bottles, folks, if you're ever doing homemade wines yourself. It's very important to sanitize. Okay, our rack will be full for sure. Now, Miss Betty and I, we like our red wine cold. So hoping I can get a couple of bottles of this put in the fridge. That's what I'll do. After I fill up this rack, of course. Okay. I'm not sure how many bottles I got here. I think at least 24 or so. Okay. A couple more there now. I think Miss Katie, and we'll have that one full, I think. I think I'll put this big one in the fridge. And I think there's another one there like that. So those two will go in our kitchen fridge. A couple of more here. There's a place right there. And a place right there. And I still have another one, but I don't think I have a place for it. Our rack is full. And I have these little ones. I want to show you these little ones. I think they're pretty clever. They're pretty cool. Just look at that. It's just a one sample one. Okay? I think we got 3 of those there, so I'll put them in the fridge. Maybe somebody who are not sure that they like wine can try one of those. Here you go, folks. All of our wine brewed off here at GBL, the Old Church 5 Acre Homestead. I hope you've enjoyed the process. There are 4 videos on our YouTube channel showing how to make homemade wine. And you're certainly welcome to go back and look at those videos. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and today is Part 4. And what I might do also is I might take all of those 4 parts and put it into one video. And that'll be put on our YouTube channel as well once I do all the editing. So for now though, I'm going to finish this sample glass that I poured off earlier from the bucket downstairs. Folks, made right here at GBL, the Old Church 5 Acre Homestead. Cheers! Nice. Very, very nice.